Myself, this side.
Um, I didn't hear which one he was referring to, but I can see you quite well. I can see you quite well. Yeah. Otherwise, how are you doing?
Oh, all is well.
All is well.
We are still blessed. Yeah.
Oh, all right. We're already live, gentlemen. So because the Facebook always, if you don't go at the time you say you're gonna go, it just gives you a tremendous amount of problems.
Okay.
Doc, I can see you.
Yes, we're ready.
Yes, I can see you. I can see you. I
And
must
I
just
can
want
hear
to.
you.
Can you hear me as well?
Very.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for your time. I just need to keep checking on both the platforms so that I can make sure that all the people that wanted to join us are able to join us. So I just need to check the Facebook. Just bear with me there. All right. There are people who join us on this platform from all over the world,
Oh, beautiful.
and sometimes they complain when they can't see on Facebook, because Facebook seems to be the most accessible one. All right, all right, and then we will also engage with whatever questions that come up.
No problem.
Yeah, my brother Castro, can you hear me well?
Very loud and clear.
Very loud and clear. All right, all
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry you had to sneak out of our church to be here today on time.
I had to travel 120 k's to be here on time.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem. It's life.
All right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to this program, Moments of Insight and Growth. My name is Lonwabo Patrick Kulati. I'm a speaker, author, executive coach, and leader. And if you're interested in learning a bit more about me, you can find more in this book called A Gap in the Cloud. I've got it beamed on screen here so that whoever wants it can know how to get it. And the details are there. I just want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Every Sunday, we come here to talk about issues that build the nation, that build especially young people,
Yes.
people that need a lot of guidance, and that guidance is often missing in our communities. So, what better way to do so than to bring people that look like us, that look like them, that grew up in similar conditions, like our
Yes.
young people, to come and talk about these issues. So uh, I'm just wanting to remove this this slide now, so that I'll remove it. Yes. Okay, there you go. I
Yes.
think the screen looks much better today.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I'm trying to control it here as well. Okay, there's a bit of okay. We'll keep changing so that we all appear
Okay.
equally. We share the screen equally.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's been quite a lot of people that have contacted me since the poster went out about this. Some people indicated that they're attending, they're traveling, attending funerals. Some people would watch this later. That's what normally happens. But we're gonna get started anyway, because these kinds of conversations are very, very, very important. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the topic that we have today is being a single father in South Africa, or single fatherhood in South Africa. And I'd like to welcome everyone to this moment, a moment of insight and growth. This program helps you see things differently We hope to inspire, inform, educate, motivate, and ensure that young people and also all of us can have something to hang on to, so that in this life, which is difficult, we can be able to thrive. And we believe that with God on your side, hard work and intentionality, well as support, nothing is impossible. We do this by profiling and traversing the life stories of ordinary people who grew up in ordinary circumstances like us. And we've set aside this month of May as a month to focus on issues affecting boys and men. And I understand that sometime in the middle of May, we have the International Day of the Boy. And today we have in our midst two great guests. The first one is Dr. Alexis Mashifane. He is a father, a medical doctor, an author, and in his word, a child of God. And having looked into your profile, I see you are much, much more, sir. I'm honored to host you here today. Alongside another great guest, Mr. Castro Mulisinyali. I hope I didn't butcher your surnames, but if I did, please correct me and forgive me. And he is the founder and the chairperson of We Are Fathers, We Are Parents Forum, which is a forum that discusses and deals with this matter. I've been on their website and their social media platforms, great interaction that's happening there. He is an entrepreneur. He's also legally trained and so many things. If you check him out, he's so many things as well. Gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and please say hi to our viewers.
Can I be the first one to say hello to everyone?
Yes, sir.
And thanks for the invitation, Lonwabo, and my fellow guest, Castro.
Yes,
I'm so glad to meet you on the platform. We've never met before, but I think South Africa is challenged, fatherhood is challenged. So if we get together and share ideas and tap into experiences, it's really a great idea that you have this podcast. Thank you so much, Lonwabo. Miles Monroe at one stage said, if you are never invited anywhere to do anything, there's a problem.
Yeah. I'm sure it is us as the viewers and me as the host who will benefit from your presence here. Mr. Castro, over to you, sir.
What more can I say? The doctor has summed it up so well. And yes, I really appreciate this opportunity. I think it's God who led me to this, because I had thought of ignoring the invitation. Then days later, I read through, and then I something just told me, let me follow up and be the guest to this important conversation. And I really appreciate. Thank you for honoring us with this invitation.
Oh, wow. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, we indeed spoke about it, and I really appreciate the call that you made. And today we're here. We're going to talk about this important matter that's not really talked about sufficiently in our country. And it can have tremendous a blessing, but it can also be a tremendous curse to so many people involved, both parents as well as young people, children. So before we get to anywhere, let's just check a bit about you, gentlemen. Let's start with you, Castro, and check. Just give us your background briefly. Who is this man? Who is the founder of We Are Fathers, We Are Parents? Just give us a brief background about you, and then after that we come to you.
Thank you. I am a son of a former prison. Then they used to be called prison warders. The late Mr. I.G. Musinyari, and my mother is a housewife. She's still alive. I think I grew up having different ambitions, obviously being a young man. And somewhere along the lines, I wanted to be better than my father, who was in the safety and security type of environment, that I thought I'll beat him by being a lawyer, you know. So I did a BA law degree because I think we lacked a lot of guidance. I think by then I couldn't have thought of being a doctor because
Wow.
I didn't like mathematics and science. So so yeah, you know, being a lawyer was one of the, you know, my dreams. But along the way, after like in the middle of the studies, I got hit by a bug
Oh.
that made me love media, in particular radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up joining the University of Venda community radio station, Univen FM. It was after I graduated though. But before that, I was a member of what used to be called the DJs Club. At the university there, while we were still students. I remember some of the people who are names that are popular. It's Bambo Johnson. He's with Radio 2000. So he was one of the DJs Club and one of our inspirations. Later on, I spent about 3 years at the University of Venda community radio station as a volunteer. And I got a bursary to go to Nemisa to study creative multimedia. I finished the whole term, but the last trimester, I didn't do well because I was already working. My passion was on radio. Then at Nemisa at the time, they were open. I applied under the impression that I'll be joining a radio team. But then I ended up having to study creative multimedia, which, you know, at the time I specialized in animation. So I'm not a technical person, I think. So the long short of it is that I ended up pursuing the media until I got to understand that I think I'm an entrepreneur. In 2018, I joined the Tony Elumelo Entrepreneurship Program. I'm an alumni of that program. And in 2010, I was the second runner-up for the Wembe Youth in Business competition through my business, which is called Wadinda Shuttle and Courier Services. So basically, then now I am the founder and chairperson of We Are Fathers, We Are Parents Forum. It's a long story. So yes, let me pause there.
Thank you. I think I'm going to learn from you about how to handle these kinds of things, radio and podcasts and things like that. Doc, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lonobo. I'm a typical rural boy. Grew up 53 years ago in a little village of Pokwani in Limpopo.
Okay.
Obviously, at that time, my mother was a nurse, professional nurse, very senior nurse. But around us, it was a rural area. No fathers there. All fathers were in the cities working, and the village was only mothers and kids. So now and then, in the morning, you would wake up as a kid and you find a rural woman bringing a child who is absolutely malnourished, almost dying, to my mother. And others would bring a child who's already sort of passed away because my mother was a nurse. So it ignited something in me, which I think that's where I got a love for medicine from. So as I grew up and I did my matric, obviously I went into medicine, medical school. But something in the second year of my life of medical school beat me again. A bug of I've always been interested in productivity. Why other people are productive, others are not. Hey. Then I learned a law that I learned when I studied physiology at medical school. It says the law of all or none. That's the first chapter in my book.
Oh, all or none.
Says, yeah, the law of all or none.
Okay.
If the neuron fires, it fires fully or it doesn't fire at all. That's something that has to do with the central nervous system. Then I took that thing up to today. Then as a medical doctor, I sort of brushed into something that is my passion, basically teaching productivity.
Wow.
And of course, there's other things, sports and other things.
Yes. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I like to ask these questions because, you know, the answers, the stories that people share here about that background sparks something on someone who watches this.
Yes.
We have no idea people that I've spoken to here. One of them was a street man, a street boy, and today he runs a multi-billion rand business. Some people who are watching here, and parents have contacted me to say, I didn't know. But once I hear the stories of people who grew up in rural areas, but, grew up. So I think I need to get your book, but we'll talk about it a bit more later. Yeah, I think we're gonna talk about that. But thank you so much for that. Yes, thank you so much. We're not gonna get into the qualifications. I think we already touched on that. Just now, let's get into the meat of the discussion. I read that while the majority of single parents are single mothers, there's also a growing number of fathers out there who are going it alone for many, many reasons. And so our society remains a mother focus. And I think, Doc, it has to do with the fact that it was the mothers who spent more time, as you said, in the rural areas and elsewhere, child rearing and so on. So even today, it's still seen as a domain of women. Now, let's start off with the definition and just the extent of this phenomenon in South Africa, and maybe the reasons behind it. Would you like to go first, Mr. Castro?
I missed a lot of what you said because of my internet connection. I had to swap quickly as you were talking, so I couldn't get the background that you were giving.
Okay. What I was saying was that society is very mother focused. Part of it is because of what what Alexis was saying earlier on, that in the rural areas it was mothers and children that were growing. So even today, society is still mother focused, but there's a growing phenomenon of fathers and single fathers. So can you just give us the extent to which this phenomenon is growing, and what are some of the issues that lead to this issue?
The single fatherhood is a phenomenon. I remember having a conversation with a certain social worker, and she said there's a lot of younger generation fathers who are contacting them, wanting to have an opportunity to be part of their children's life, when after separation with the mothers, and there will be conflicts and so forth. So she was saying it's no longer the same as before. I mean, before, our fathers would go, like the doctor has been saying, the fathers will go to towns, to the mines, to fend for us. It would be as if they don't really care, but the circumstances demanded them not to be around us, and then the mothers were basically the ones in the homes taking care of us, and then the fathers will be taking care of the financial part of provision for the households. So today, I think there's a lot of economic activities that make it possible for me as well to work in Johannesburg and still go back to Limpopo as often as possible. So there's no more excuse. If I really want to be with my family, my children who are in Limpopo, I can always drive there once a month, twice a month, and so forth. Unlike before, when there will be one transport that will go maybe to Limpopo once every 6 months or on Christmas time. So there is much interest now for fathers who want to be seen as responsible for their children. I think also because the ice breaking that we are doing, the conversations that we are having, there are fathers who had withdrawn from their children, not because they are not necessarily willing, but because when they see a bit of a push away from their children, they give up and say, what more can I do? The phenomena that we grew up with hearing, that the child will grow up and come to you, I think it is starting to be challenged by the current circumstances.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mashifane. You had a different set of circumstances in terms of how you became a single dad. Can you just briefly talk to us about that and how the transition was?
Yes, it was way back in 2009, and it was a normal day. normal day, I mean the sun rises during the day and the sun sets. There was nothing. There was no rain. There was no hurricane. There was no disaster. We woke up in the morning. Everyone went to work. My kids went to school. And in the afternoon, you get this awful call that no one wants to get. There's been a terrible accident. They give you a registration number, and the person in that car has passed away. That's it. So that person you woke up with, my kids at that time, one was 10, one was 13. No. One was 7, one was 10. So they were still quite young. So suddenly, one afternoon, no hurricane, no disaster, she was gone. Car accident, and it was immediate. So somehow it was life-changing. I would say it felt like when you are driving on a road that is smooth, no potholes, nothing, then suddenly that road ends. It's not even a gravel road that is there. It's like there's no road anymore.
Wow.
Now we've got to figure out this thing. Then I went through personally, I have to share this. 2 years prior to my wife's passing, I went through a journey where I went to a philosophy school. I studied what you call practical philosophy. Not for exams, not for qualification, but it's something that we're sort of passionate about.
Yes, sir.
During that period, I read a lot of material. That was sort of preparing me to say, when disaster happens, this is how you respond. So in a way, I was equipped unknowingly that I was going to have a disaster of this nature. Then I had to draw the lessons at that time. I was also quite young. I was 39. So you are 39, you've got 2 kids. One is doing grade 8 and one is doing grade 5. So you've got to navigate. Yes, absolutely. So it was that. So I had to learn a number of things, but I drew from the knowledge that I had, and I drew when there was no disaster. I think that's one principle that I can share with many people, that on average days, when there's nothing, the question of empowering ourselves with knowledge is absolutely critical. Reading about disaster, reading about grieving, reading about any type of challenge, about raising teenagers, anything that you can read. It prepares you for an eventuality that might be unpleasant, and some of them pleasant, but you don't go into those situations unprepared. But if you're in a disaster situation, you manage the disaster, but you don't have time to equip yourself at that time because you're in it.
Yes.
So that's what happened to me. And I just shared a little bit more. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I mean, death is one reason that clearly that causes the rise of single parenting in many respects. But in your case, Mr. Musinyali, you were not married to the mother of your daughter, and soon thereafter there were challenges. Just tell us about that.
Yes, I was not married to the mother of my daughter, and my challenges didn't start after. By the way, she also met an untimely death through a car accident. And
sorry about that.
The problem was, it was not the beginning of the problem. The problem started immediately after my daughter was born. Because somehow I learned that there's no easy access to my daughter. But I thought perhaps it is because of certain missing links and so forth. But when I asked her, she ended up opening up to me to say, no, the difficulty is with, in particular, a father who has instructed that I mustn't be allowed near my child. So things got worse after a passing, because when she was still alive, she would make sure that I see my child under the circumstances that were also not easy. So yeah, it became worse. I was in court before her passing, trying to say, can you help us? And when I look back, I feel like I was too ignorant, because I didn't make proper investigation to understand which route to take when I go to court. I went to the children's court Whereas I think I shouldn't have gone to the children court. Because there was no conflict between the two parents. It was just a third party interfering with our relationship with our child. So when I went to court, I realized the court as well didn't understand what was going on. So my battle started to be not necessarily against this individual or individuals, but in particular, I started to realize that there's a lot of loopholes in the judiciary. There are people who don't understand what they are supposed to do. The presiding officers, they resort to insulting people because they feel they've got the power. When you go there, you feel like you are treated worse than maybe a murderer. Maybe a murderer they can fear, But when you are there, they will harass you, very professionally, to an extent that if you are weak, you can just give up. But I chose to stand up for my child because I wanted to be a father to my child. She's my fourth child. It's not my. I've got a 20. My daughter is turning 23 this month. My firstborn daughter. So I have always been, sure that I love my children. So this last born one was supposed to even enjoy more. Because the other ones, I was even younger. Now, at the time she was born, I was even, in a better financial position as well to can fend for her. So I wanted that opportunity, which was being denied. And up until now, I'm in the process of trying to establish my relationship with my child.
Sure. Viewers, you can see that these are different stories, obviously different challenges and so we're going to straddle between these two. The one father, children, you never lost contact with your children, Doc. You stayed with them. You grew up so much that your daughter said something which I just want to quote quickly here. She says that her mother had always taken care of most of the day-to-day responsibilities. So your daughter and her sister were emotionally invested in their mom. Then things completely flipped. We emotionally invested in my father because I must say my dad took up the responsibility and played both mom and dad. How did you do this, Doc?
Firstly, Lonobo, for me at that time, like I said, I sort of capacitated myself with knowledge before. I had clarity of mind. That's one that I was never confused.
Okay.
Firstly, I knew I was a good dad from when they were born until today when their mother passed. I was a good dad. Secondly, I learned something from the earlier lessons that I talked about. That said to me, the best way to honor a person who has departed is to take care of the living. That's what Castro is doing right now. He's trying to take care of his daughter.
Yes.
The best way to honor a departed person is to take care of the living. It's not a tombstone or anything like that. That's a remembrance. So I took up that responsibility. I said, but how am I going to honor this woman? I'm going to honor her by being a good dad. And there's no compromise about it. So from day one, I took over my responsibilities. I realized one thing, that the world can only say to you, sorry for your loss, sorry for your loss, but they cannot take responsibility. Even the municipality wants their accounts paid. The schools want their accounts paid. Everybody who's you have to pay for your kids, they want their payments. They're not saying
life moves on, basically.
Life has to go on, and it points at you as the father, the parent who's remaining. So if you go into a corner and be a victim of life and not carry your responsibilities, they're simply going to come, take your house, remove your kids from school. They're not going to say, because you lost your wife, sorry about that. We can't take her. They're going to do that. So I took over responsibilities. I had a lady who was helping me to take them to school and maybe to bring them to school, but I always made sure I take them to school.
Okay.
Weekends, I do not want a helper in the house. I do everything myself. Take care of my kids. I make sure that I cook for them. I make sure that I take everything that a father is responsible for. I make sure that I take them on trips. They were still young. At some point after the World Cup 2010, I made a surprise trip for them. I organized. They loved Spain because Spain won World Cup at that time. I
Yeah.
organized a trip that was hidden from them. When they
Mm.
closed school, when they closed schools, we were at Oartambo, flying to
Yeah.
Spain. The three of
Wow.
us,
Wow.
up and down. I made sure that I'm at all the activities. I made sure that I follow up at school, their progress. I was present all the time, but by choice.
By
Nobody
choice.
forced me, by
Mm.
choice.
Mm.
I
Mm.
made
Mm.
a decision I'm going to be a good father in honor of their mother.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they emotionally, my daughter said
Mm.
they emotionally invested in me now because they didn't even feel the gap of their mother that much because this
Yeah.
man is
Yeah.
here all the time. He's here
Wow.
all
Wow.
the time. He's
Wow.
taking care of all the responsibilities, both physically and of course
Mm.
emotional ones.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
and 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 here on the other side, you've got two fathers that love their children, that
Yes.
want to do the best. And Castro, on your side, your passion and your wanting to be present and involved in the lives of your life, unlike Doc's one, is being blocked. Is
Yes.
being
Yes.
blocked from not just from the family that was involved, from the mother, but also the institutions system. Just tell us about that struggle that led to you establishing this organization.
And
That. Hmm.
and I would like to request you, Mr. Kulati, don't mind reminding me
Yes.
or following up on what I say. You know
Yes.
why? Because there's a lot in my mind. So I might
Okay.
say something and not necessarily cover what you really want to know. So don't mind,
Yes.
making that follow up. So yeah,
Okay.
um, I did what the doctor did
Hmm.
in a different way. There's no room to be pitied.
Hmm.
I experienced this pain alone. And one
Hmm.
reason why I had to think deep around whether I want to participate in this or not was that I have to be sharing this. It's not an
Hmm.
easy
I can
journey.
imagine. I can
It's
imagine.
very painful.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for
but
joining
then
me.
I had to do something about it because it's either something wrong would happen.
Hmm.
Either I would do something wrong to myself or to other people, because
Hmm.
you are tortured here by
Hmm.
people who don't care what's going on, and society doesn't even understand what you are going through. They don't care actually, because isn't it, you are not bleeding, so where is the pain? I think that is the questions that they have. So
Hmm.
I walked this journey. I went to the courts with all confidence that
Hmm.
the law is on my side here, especially after the passing of the mother of my child. I felt I'm the last surviving parent. So what
Yes.
blocks me here
It
from
should
being the
be.
custodian of my child?
Hmm.
So that confidence was crushed very
Hmm.
quickly, to an extent that I was actually labeled by a judge, referred to as a cock that cannot live in the same house with a hen.
Sure.
I had to report that to the Judicial Service Commission, and that
Sure.
judge recused himself. He's retired now.
Hmm.
Then the one who came, I think, came guns blazing to deal with me because, well, surely I'm a small boy.
Hmm.
So I then got a shock of my life when in the interim, in 2018, an order was issued while we are waiting for the finalization of the case, that I will alternatively see my child, alternative weekends, school holidays, the standard one
Yeah.
that often gets given to people. But the
Yeah.
final order in 2019 reduced that time, and then I was offered only Saturday and Sunday between 8 and 5. So as I
Hmm.
sit here, my child
Hmm.
never sleep at my home.
Sure.
Um, because I was being punished, but for standing up for what I believe in, for standing up for my child.
Hmm.
So I chose not to be a victim who is sitting and weeping. I think
Yeah.
God gave me the talent, the creativity, which I thought I would tap into. I mean, every business that I have started, it has started because I identified a gap, a problem that I needed to solve.
Yeah.
I then thought, how do I solve this loneliness? Because there's no
Hmm.
one to help me. There's no one to lean on. No
Hmm.
one whatsoever.
The
Sure.
law
I
is failing
then
you as well.
Sure,
I beg
sure,
yours?
sure. Now he
I
says the
say the
law
law
is
is failing you as well. The law
as
is
Yes,
well.
the
failing
law as
you.
well is letting me down. And
Mm,
people are fearful of the law, whether the law is wrong or not. People just fear
mm,
for no reason. So the formation of the organization We Are Fathers, We Are Parents Forum was just one of those activities that I was trying to encourage myself on, to say
mm,
there's still tomorrow. You know, when I was deciding to form this, I thought I'm keeping my mind busy because I don't want
mm,
it to think about other things that are wrong. I actually even moved from Venda to Johannesburg because I
mm,
didn't want to be in the vicinity of that problem, because I thought it might
mm,
explode. Something might explode. So I had to be far away. I thought even if I decide otherwise, by the time
mm,
I reach Amanskral, I would have cooled down. I'll make a
mm.
U-turn. So the
Wow.
formation of the organization was a way of trying to deal with my problem. I didn't know
Mm,
where it will take us to, but
mm,
I see it now, um, uh, doing a contribution to people who are like me, who
mm,
who are facing this problem and they're dying inside. They can't
mm.
tell anyone. They don't know who to trust. And we are saying we are here for them. You know, I know
Yeah.
what it means. Whether a person calls me at 3 o'clock at night,
Mm,
whatever time,
mm,
whoever calls me about this problem of parental rights, I
mm,
I will attend to them, because I know
mm.
what it means for them to call me. I know what it meant for me not to have anyone to call around this
Yeah.
problem. So
So,
that is
so
the
how
main
do
reason.
yeah? So how do you deal with the government, let alone the legal system, the law, and so on? Do you have anything? Do you have any advocacy around these issues, reaching out to them, trying to get them to change? How is the experience with people like social development and social workers and so on?
There's work that we are doing. Firstly, I think we need to dispel the issue of single fatherhood as well, because
Mm.
imagine for how long I'm married now.
Yes.
Somebody will be married now.
Yeah.
For how long will this person be called a single father?
Yeah.
Because is this a permanent curse, to say
Yeah.
you, for
Mm.
as long as somebody that you ever, had a child with is no longer with you, you are now a single something. So
Yeah.
we must
Yeah.
dispel that. You might have noticed in 2021, Stats SA released a report to say 70% of Black children in particular are fatherless in the country. That's not something
Mm.
to celebrate. So
Mm.
one would be surprised that there's no one that I've had engaging in a conversation, I mean, in the upper echelons of government, to say, how do we deal with this? What does it mean in our society to have
Mm.
such a huge number of people? And in particular, we are the majority, but we don't have to dominate on negativity. We can reduce the
Yeah.
70% to something else, which is lesser
Yeah.
than that. We have engaged with social development. In 2021, December, we marched to the Department of Social Development as a group of organization to submit our memorandum to say, these are the problems. We believe
Mm.
that you are violating the Constitution, because the law says we are all equal before the law. The
Yeah.
Constitution says we are all equal before the law. But here, when
Mm.
it comes to parental rights,
Mm.
when we talk of parental plan,
Mm.
it gives the standardized one, which I believe
Mm.
was not designed to be standard. It was probably
Mm.
just an entry. It gives
Mm.
the one parent custody and the other parent visitation rights. Those
Mm.
visitation rights consist of an average of 75 days a year. A
Mm.
year still has
Sure.
365 days.
Sure.
So where is the equality there?
Mm.
There's no equality there. We can't
Mm.
use Section 28(2) of the Constitution, which is the best interest of the child, which are supposed to be paramount. It is
Mm.
not the best in the best interest of the child to reduce or limit the access of
Yes.
the child to the other parent. You might have
Right.
All right.
noticed last week there was a post on Radio 2000 where they screenshot a message of a father who was supposed to fetch his son Tabo, and then Tabo has two siblings. The father of Tabo took only Tabo from school. The
Mm.
mother sent a message, "Why did you leave my other children?" And he says, "Where are their fathers?"
Sure.
So he was trying to say, I'm not responsible for that. And people were attacking that. I don't know if the background of that story and if it was just an angle with which to create a conversation or it was a fiction or what. But I felt it was a very necessary conversation for people to have because I saw a lot of people attacking that Tabo's father. Tabo's father is caring for his child, but he's dying for the sins of the other father or fathers of the other siblings. And the only person that I know died for our sins is Jesus. It's not Tabo's father. So the problem that we are faced with in our society, we have gotten so used to vilifying men to an extent that they don't deserve even to be near their children, and that is harming the children. We have a relationship with the Office of the Family Advocate. We've done campaigns. We have done a workshop in Soweto last year. They are open for us to invite them to any workshop around the country. It's only that we don't have the sponsors for now. But that is where we are educating people to say what is the meaning of parental rights and how important they are to the children. So the Commission for Gender Equality as well, they join us as we are Fathers, we are Parents Forum, when we do the campaigns. They are ready anytime. So we are trying to conscientize the institutions because we want them to understand the plight of the people.
Great.
Okay, Doc,
Yes.
do you want to say something at this point?
Yeah, I just want to appreciate the work Castro and the organization is doing. It's really great because I come across a lot of fathers as well who are struggling with that issue that he's dealing with. I also just want to add the challenges on this side of the story where there are no challenges that Castro is facing. As a single parent at that time, challenges are bound to be there. You are a great father, you do your work very well, but you know there are times where you wish this partner could have been around. For example, when they chose their subjects, now you know they're there at school, they're choosing subjects, and you want to discuss their strengths and weaknesses. You know, if you are two, you discuss strengths and weaknesses of your daughters, and then you come to agree. And they ask you only as a parent. Then you got to figure it out alone. Then when my other daughter went to university, she had choices again to make, and they're like, now you've got no one to bounce ideas with. When my other daughter grew and sort of life messed up a little bit with the university and friends and the like, then you want to apply some discipline. You wish that the mother part could have been there to balance things out because you only discipline them from your point of view. I'm just mentioning those challenges that the gap is there when the other person who can do things differently from the feminine point of view is missing. Through God's grace, and you manage to navigate those circumstances. Somehow they pass, and later on we reflect on them and say, "Goodness me, how did I pass this one?" But you do pass those. You have those challenges. Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's stressful on both sides, but I'm quite keen to find out, you know, how do you cope with that? I mean, you've got a Doc. I'm just interested from your side. How is it?
Yes.
How do you cope? Because you have to do your work, your day-to-day work. In your case, you're a doctor. You know, you've got to do the parenting. You've got to do all of these things, and obviously, it should be quite stressful on you when you have to do that by yourself. How did you cope? And how do you cope if there's a young person who's in a similar situation, or a young man, a young father, or a father? How do you cope? What did you do practically to be able to deal with the stress, the mental health issues, just the healthiness of this whole thing?
Indeed, you've got to have a clear mind and a clear plan and a direction. It helps you. Me as a person, I worked far from my kids. So I used to sleep at home, traveling 120 kilometers in the morning to work, 120 kilometers back at night, simply because I wanted to be there. Just your mere presence You're able to spend time with them those evenings. You're able to hear what they went through at school. You're able to hear what are the challenges. I used to take it because they were still young. I used to take a car on weekends. I was not working on weekends. I don't do anything else but spend time with them. I'll throw them in the back seat of the car with their friends. Then it just take a long drive. Kids, naturally, they forget that you exist after a few kilometers. And things come up when they talk with their friends. Then you pick up a few things that might need your attention. But because at that time you can't have one-on-one conversations that are easy because they're still young. So you pick up some of these things. But I think on a day-to-day basis, I personally did not feel the stress of taking care of my responsibility because they were clearly defined. My weekends are for my daughters, and during the day I'll do my occupational responsibilities, and every night I'm with them. So I never really struggled with that particular issue because maybe I was clear-minded and I knew exactly my responsibilities. I was not running away from them. Yes.
Okay. Clearly, both of you are very clear-minded, very direction orientated. You know what you want to do, and from what I've read in preparation for this, I realize that there are so many desperate men out there and desperate fathers out there who are just shut out of the lives of their children, and they come to a desperation. And I honor you, Mr. Musinyali, for the fact that you come across as a person who's trying to control himself so that you do not do something that you would regret in the future, because you also have your current family, other children, and so on. So the world still needs you. Now, how can people get hold of and interact with your organization? Are there platforms that you can share so that people can understand what sort of issues you deal with? Obviously, you're talking about parental rights, especially for fathers. How can people interact with you on what issues apart from that?
Yeah, thank you very much. And what the doctor has said, our circumstances are different, but I see the mindset is the same when you're faced with these particular situations. You've got to be very focused on what you want to achieve. What I do, I sit down and say, I'm being selfish, because when the more people call me with their challenges, the more I feel complete. It's like therapy to me when I offer them help. So I love it when they call me, because they divert my mind from my own circumstances. So and I think God has blessed me we still have to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal, just so people will know. God blessed me with a legal team, pro bono. They are based in Polokwane. I just can't believe what they've done to me. There was a time in 2021, I didn't see my daughter from February until September last year. That was almost 2 years. It was a very difficult time for me and my family. You don't know if you are supposed to mourn or what. But those guys, they went to court for contempt of court, and then we ended up reinstating my parental right, my visitation rights. So I still have to drive to Limpopo Saturday. 8 o'clock, I fetch my daughter. 5 o'clock, I must return and wait for Sunday. So that is the punishment she has to suffer for having a father like me. People can contact us on Facebook. We are Fathers, We Are Parents. Forum is the name of our group, our page. And then we've got a group called We Are Fathers, We Are Parents. We've got over 17,000 people. And the engagements are, I see a lot of people being assisted a lot. My number as well, if I can give it, they can WhatsApp me. It's 072-786-8956.
Okay, great. I think that's very important, and those people who want this number. I don't know if it's the same number that of yours that I have.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got that one number. Yes.
That one number. Okay. But also something when you phoned me the other day, which was a bit sad, is that you said, I don't know whether it was on that day, but your daughter had a birthday, but
Yes, she was.
you could not be with her.
Yeah, she was born on Workers' Day on the 1st of May.
On the first, yeah.
So, yeah. So now, because the court order says I see her on Saturday between 8 and 5 and Sunday between 8 and 5, I can't see her on any other day because it will be contempt of court. I stand to be arrested if I do that. But just what we did on Saturday, we bought some stuff, cake, and we had a birthday celebration because I had her at my home, and my 8-year daughter on the birthday, they are very close, inseparable. And I like the fact that the young one looks up to her old elder sister. She's so inspired by her. You can just see the passion. She said, "No, can I just phone and ask so that she can see her sister at the gate?" It was a tough one. It was a tough one.
Sure.
Yeah, let me end it there on that question.
Okay.
All right.
Now. All right.
So, but I'm not supposed to see my daughter. I can't be like Tabo's father, who can go and fetch Tabo at school and drop Tabo at school and fetch him from school. Yeah. I'm not allowed to see my daughter during the week. I don't have school holidays. I don't have Christmas. I don't have anything. It's only Saturday and Sunday, which I can choose. So I have chosen to drive to Limpopo at least twice a month to see my daughter.
Okay. And I hope that the court case will finally resolve the situation for the best interest of the relationship between you and your daughter and the child. In fact, I was in Limpopo last week in Liwakomo, and then in Losco. I went there for work, so it was quite nice to be there. Doc, I just want to tease on something. I look at the time here, but I just want to just check. How do you? I mean, with the children, how do you then help discuss or deal with the matter when you now have to obviously move and get maybe another partner or wife or something? So how did that happen? How did that happen for you? Was it not a big stressful moment?
No, it is. I'm not going to sit in front of you and say it's an easy task.
Yes.
A friend of mine is a psychiatrist. We had long discussions about it. The issue is when you meet a new woman in your life, that new woman has a relationship with you. And you've got no control on the responses of your girls or of your children. You've got no control over how they respond. All you can do is to manage the process by communicating. By communicating to say, hey, this is what is happening with me. That thing of being an excellent father, it's a good thing. At the same time, it's a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to this particular issue. Now they get attached to you. They create an environment that is absolutely comfortable and they love that environment. It's me, our dad is our world. Now there's this person who comes in.
Yeah.
He's going to disturb this ecosystem.
Yeah, this nice relationship.
Exactly. It's bound not to be easy. But the discussion that we had was you do not force things on them. You communicate things.
Yeah.
And you don't force them to accept things, but you simply be a good father to them. The part of being a good father to them doesn't stop, but you introduce this woman, which I have already. I'm remarried again 2 years ago, but it took some time. But like I'm saying, they got used to that ecosystem. I have a son now in my new relationship.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Then it was difficult for them to accept somebody who is not part of their mother's womb, I suppose. So that transition is not the easiest on earth, but all that was required and we agreed upon is to just respect each other. They don't have to love that person bottom of their hearts. And I think God will just allow that relationship to blossom at its own time.
At its own
All
time.
that is required is we all respect each other. We all respect Papa's parents. You continue being a good parent.
Yes.
Nobody forces themselves on the other. Because once you force yourself on the others, on the kids you force them onto the new partner, then there's going to be conflict. So it's a process that I'm still in at the moment. I'm still navigating those waters.
Yes.
And then somehow they're coming together. At the beginning, it was quite difficult. Not that there was something seriously wrong, but it's just a question of adjustment.
Yeah, adjustment. Yes,
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
No, thank you, both of you for being vulnerable, because we're discussing issues that are really not easy to talk in public about. But I think your sharing here, your vulnerability, helps another person out there who is going through or is about to go through similar set of circumstances, because there are situations that need different experiences to share. Now, tell us about your book, Doc. What led you to writing it? What is it called? And what is it about? And how can people get hold of it?
Yes, my book is called The Friday Files.
Okay.
Quite a title. What about Friday? So what's happening on Friday? What happened is 2 years ago, I realized the gift of writing that I had.
Okay.
So every Friday at 5 a.m., I wrote an article.
Wow.
The people call it, what do they call it? Some person who writes an article every Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
So every Friday at 5 o'clock, I posted an article, and people loved the articles one by one.
Wow.
Then it became a culture that every Friday we're waiting for Dr. Mashifani to write an article.
Yes.
And it went on for 2 years, writing every Friday until they are posted. But you are summarizing issues there. We love those issues so much. Can you please put them into a book? Then I took those Friday files, which I was writing every Friday at 5 o'clock. Then I expanded the issues on them one by one. But basically, my book is about understanding certain things about life. Number one, the background that we come from. Number two, I deal a lot with personal identity. I deal a lot with personal branding. And of course, I deal with that law that I talked about, the law of all or none, productivity.
All of none. Yeah, that one is fascinating.
It's absolutely fascinating. So my book basically is about the introspection and seeing where, as a person, I'm lacking and what happened that I became this particular way. And what is it that I can teach that can get you out of that particular hole and to be productive again, as a person at work, as a family member, as a colleague, as a partner as well. So it covers all those departments.
Okay. Is there a book coming, Mr. Castro? Maybe sometime in the future.
Definitely. There's one person who is a journalist. He's always telling me, "You must write a book. You must write a book." I have started a long time. And luckily, it won't be a big mission because I used to document things. I had a lot of time to think and sit down and write things. I have actually made a movie in 2021 around my story.
Yes, tell us about that. Yeah.
We got funding from the National Arts Council, and I did a movie called The Daughter. It's finished, but obviously low budget. But I'm thinking maybe I can put it on YouTube. People can just watch and see the story unfolds. But as well now, I'm working on a documentary around my story. It's only that there's all these financial implications that we have to fix before we do that. The book is also on my list of things. I need a book to be. I don't have passion for writing as such, but somebody just said, no, write whatever. Just actually, it's Lucas Lidwaba, the the journalist who started Mkurukuru Media. So he encourages me a lot, and he says, you know what, it's only that I'm busy for the next 3 years or so. I was going to mentor you on this. So yes, I would love people to read my story.
Wow. I feel like I'm in the midst of greatness here. I mean, on the one side, we've got an author, and the other side, we've got a documentary producer. It's great. I think I need to lay my hands. I feel like I would like to meet with you gentlemen in person so that at least I can get to learn a bit more about that. I have also had the pleasure of putting together a book, which is called A Gap in the Cloud. And this book, it's turning tragedies into triumphs. During load shedding, or not load shedding, but lockdown, I had a tremendous amount of fear. They call the fear atichiphobia, which is a fear of failure, of saying, if I were to die, what would I leave behind that would help not just my family, but other people? And I had these two stories. One was a personal, life-threatening illness. At the same time, whilst that was going on, which was a colorectal cancer, I had a professional livelihood-threatening crisis where I was asked by the chairman of the organization I was leading to close it down, let go of everyone. So I'm sharing those two stories, how one was able to turn those into triumphs, obviously through God's intervention. So I feel like we've got quite a lot in common here, and
congratulations. That's so impactful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And so, if people wanted to you guys speak? Do you get invited? Do you accept invites to speak for around the issues that you're passionate about?
Oh yes, all the time. I speak a lot. I had a conference yesterday.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am also available. I have spoken a number of times in churches. There are churches who would love to understand what is going on. And I think right now, from the beginning of the year, I'm just preoccupied with trying to earn a living. Lockdown killed a lot of what we used to do. I wish if I could just do this every day for the rest of my life. I feel it's my calling. I feel that my daughter made me what I am, and I must honor her and her mother by doing what I have to do to save other children, to bring change to society for the better. We can't go on like this.
Yes. This is what is quite interesting as we draw to an end, is that previously I had a similar show talking about the responsibility of raising boys, and there were a lot of single mothers who were complaining about the fact that they want their fathers to be involved. They are prepared to do everything, but the fathers are not there. But here we have fathers whose heart are with their children, and then in your case, Castro, you have this blockage that's passed. It's amazing how the world is working. But
absolutely,
from my understanding, also as a Christian, it sounds like you come across as committed Christians as well. So what role does that play in how you have coped with this thing? How did God help you navigate these choppy waters? Doc?
Yeah, no, but I think it's paramount. That question is very important. Basically, it's a foundation of being a good father. In our denominations or in our churches, especially in my own church, we have a spiritual father who really, really put us into a pot and cooked us as men in the house. That the world will be a better place if we become good fathers. Not only good fathers, but good fathers to other people, because there's a problem, like Castro mentioned, of fatherlessness in our society. I think we all know that. Fathers are running away from their responsibilities. Fathers are not responsible. Fathers disappear. So we need, spiritually, We are called on to be guardians. We are called on to be fathers who will talk life and give life to our kids. There's nobody who can take that responsibility except yourself as a father. So, church and our spiritual life has played a very, 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 very big role in making us good fathers, not just the knowledge that we carry from outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Castro, how does church or your spiritual heritage help you in navigating these challenges that are immediate that you are facing?
I think if you don't, there's no room for being. They say there's no room to be in a no man's land in any situation. So one has to get a rude awakening. I think the foundation that my mother laid, well, when we were young, taking us to church, forcing us in a way, and when you get your freedom, when you go live somewhere where she's not there, you get your freedom to do whatever you want. I went back to God by choice this time around, and it was before this problem started. So I think I started to realize God was preparing me for this eventuality, and if it wasn't for this wisdom that God gave me to realize that He is the one in charge of whatever is supposed to happen to my life, I could take things to into my hands and do things the wrong way. So spirituality also helped me to understand the source of this problem. All I know is that what is happening to me and my children and other children, the 70% fatherlessness is not from God. It's from the other side. So you start to understand that this problem is bigger than what you thought. It's not a behavioral problem; it's a spiritual problem. So if you don't, you don't confront it spiritually, it might drown you. So I think it helped me to understand those basics, and I researched more about that. Some of the things I realized, no, even our government probably is struggling with this, because I speak as well to people who are working in government who are facing the same problems. They can't. This problem doesn't respect your position. Parental alienation, it doesn't respect who you are. If for as long as the mother of the children decides you are no longer, supposed to be part of their life, they will take the children to be part of the problem instead of leaving the children to be part of, both of you as parents. So there is hatred in alienation. There is anger. There is bitterness. Those are not things from God. So when I'm standing and saying I trust God for my situation, then I'm able to look at that and laugh them off and say, God is dealing with the situation. I don't have to do anything.
Wow. Gentlemen, I notice that the time is past our hour, but I will give you the last words. Maybe you want to share, both in terms of, Doc, how can people get hold of your book? And also, how can people get hold of the production that you are working on, Mr. Musinyadi? But also just share with us the last words that you want to share to single fathers in our country and in our continent.
Let me start by saying I thank you for the opportunity to share our experiences or my experiences with Castro. I'm based in Mpumalanga, in Middleburg. My number is the one that I gave you, Mr. Lunabo.
Yes.
You can share it with anyone who wants my book.
Okay.
Even speaking engagements, that's the number that they can use.
Okay.
Lastly, I just want to say, I think, realize all of us that we've got potential to really reach the heights that we've never reached as individuals. Don't forget your responsibilities as a person. Don't take your responsibility to be given to somebody else. If it's something that is yours, take over that responsibility. God says, I will never give you anything that you cannot handle. And I realized that through the journey of life, that whatever falls on your lap as a person, according to whatever the challenges, situation, or problems, you've got capacity to handle those problems. You never know that you are beautifully and wonderfully made until you walk that road. You remember, if you go into a bush and you are wearing slippers, the thorns will go through the slippers. But if you go into a bush and you are wearing boots, the thorns are still there, but they'll never penetrate your boots. So what I'm saying here is that capacity, coupled with your faith in God, will make you walk in the bush that has got thorns, but you'll always be a survivor and you'll always conquer in that situation.
Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And also to support what you said. I've been thinking the past days that I think my biggest fan base is with the women, the mothers.
Okay.
Except for those who are alienators, who are bitter, who are angry with the fathers of their children for the whatever reasons. So I also believe with that when you say women, there are a lot of people, mothers who are saying they want the fathers to be part of their children's lives. But I have a problem with our fellow male, our fellow father of the children. They are focusing on other things other than their children. Call fathers to a debby, to soccer, to alcohol, to attend and entertain play queens. They will be there, but they don't have. They don't put their effort on trying to fix things that are going wrong regarding their children. They give up easily because I think they also believe the child will grow up and the child will come to me after they've grown. But the damage would have been done at the time. That is why, actually, one thing that I also forgot, I did a song in 2021 called A Child's Prayer. The genre is a bit hip hop. But then after researching more, I realized that many of our fellow brothers, they are busy in the entertainment sphere, drinking and everything. So this year, I produced another song. It's a soulful, deep house song because I want to follow them to where they are through the music. I want to send the music to them, the message to them via the beats that they will understand. So the song, I think I will release it in June on Father's Month. And I'm just looking at raising this awareness to say fathers must change their attitude because they are spoiling our names and they are ruining our children. Children now, teenage pregnancy, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, it's a result of their absence on the children's life.
Yes.
Wow. Gentlemen, I really want to thank you. I will definitely invite you when I publish my next book, which is about helping boys to become high value men. So it's that I'm working on now with my son. So hopefully it will come out. So I will invite you. But I really want to thank you so much for this opportunity and for this spending your afternoon. You were driving from Pretoria and you left church early and you came here to empower the nation. This recording will be on our YouTube pages, even on my LinkedIn and Facebook forever, because we want people to be aware on how to navigate these kinds of sensitive issues. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon and the rest of your week.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, and let's share our books.
Yes, definitely. I will be in touch. And just to say that for those people who may have made a comment online, because I missed, I don't know what's happening. Sometimes I miss some comments and I see them afterwards. If I missed your comment that you may have sent by Facebook or anything, please forgive me. I would have loved to have looked at it, but thank you so much. Anytime you feel like you want to raise any question, I'm happy to share. Obviously, these numbers, if I share them with you, I expect you to use them appropriately of these gentlemen. So thank you again, my good guests. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Cheers. We'll be in touch. All right. I want to thank the people that joined us. I want to thank the people that joined us and those that will watch this later on. If I've missed your comments, please forgive me. We're talking to single fathers about single father issues, but they affect all of us. They affect children, they affect families, they affect how the government is dealing with these matters, the court system, but also they affect how people are navigating personal tragedies when they have children to look after. If it so happens that you want us to ask any questions and bring other people, feel free to let me know. But for this day, thank you. Thank you again for joining the moment, and I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your week. Bye bye.